Okay, here is the introductory lecture for Introduction to Psychology, Scott High School. I realize you guys don't have your books yet, so, or at least you probably don't have them yet. So what I'm going to do is supplement that with supplement your lack of a book with some video lectures here at the beginning. You'll always have video lectures throughout this course to deal with, probably more at the beginning than toward the end. You need to treat these just like you would an in-class session. I'm advised that you guys will have access during class time to the internet. You could certainly look at these and work on this stuff at home as well. So I'm going to urge you to take notes just like you were in class on this stuff. I always like to start by asking the question, what is psychology? What does psychology mean? And students are always really interested in psychology. Some people think that it involves psychics or mind reading or some kind of magic or voodoo or something. And really, psychology is not any of those things. Psychology is a science, just like sociology. Some of you may have had me for sociology online last semester. Psychology, like any other social science, whether it's history or sociology or political science, has a specific methodology that it follows. There's a very specific and standardized way that we go about trying to measure things or observe things and then present data or information. So, what is psychology? Is it a guy smoking a pipe? A lot of people think of Sigmund Freud. They have that image in their mind, and you can kind of see him down here. When we talk about psychology, are we dealing with people who are laying on a couch talking about their issues or their problems? Not exclusively. Is psychology people trying to read your mind? Well, no. We don't go around trying to analyze people on the streets or at Walmart. We don't try to read people's minds. That's not what psychology is. Is psychology a bunch of weirdos trying to analyze you? Hopefully not. Psychology is an attempt to help people feel and function better. That's the goal of psychology. It's to understand problems that may or may not exist, but really of paramount importance is helping people feel and function better. I happen to think that psychology is really, really cool, but some people think psychology is a bunch of crap. I've had intellectual conversations with people who really think psychology is really meaningless or just a bunch of silly conjecture. Hopefully you will decide that it is really, really cool, and I'll try to convince you and persuade you as we go. So here's a nice definition of psychology. This is good to have in your notes. Psychology is the scientific study of behaviors and thought processes. The scientific part of this definition is important because there is, again, a systematic and standardized way that we go about trying to observe things and then report information or to try to help people feel and function better in life. So we're studying behaviors and thought processes. What is a behavior? Well, by definition, and you'll want to jot this down, a behavior is any observable characteristic that is exhibited by an individual. Anything that we can observe whatsoever. In your high school, you watch people walk down the hallway. That's an example of a behavior. Chewing gum. I always tell a story. I was at a high school teaching that will remain nameless forever. I walked outside of the classroom after teaching, and I noticed that there was a young man and a young woman. I think they were juniors or seniors maybe. And I could tell that the conversation was pretty heated. Something to the effect of, girlfriend thinks boyfriend was cheating, girlfriend is confronting boyfriend, boyfriend evidently is lying about this, and she punched him to the point where she knocked him out. She punched him, knocked him out. He's laying on the floor in the hallway. That's an extreme example of a behavior, but it is a behavior by definition. Don't do that, by the way. I don't recommend that. Driving a car, throwing a football, and maybe some more not so obvious examples of behaviors. Again, anything we can observe. With the right equipment, we can observe brain activation. We can see parts of the brain moving or being energized or being active. We can watch your heart pumping blood. We can actually watch blood flowing through your veins. We can monitor rapid eye movement. So these are all examples of behaviors. And then we get to thought processes. Psychology is also interested in anything related to mental processes or cognition. I would write that down as well. And by the way, you can stop and start this video as much as you like. It'll be available forever. I will not take the link down, so you'll have this. Now, some examples of thought processes. Attention, the amount of attention that you pay, whether it's in class, whether it's in church, whether it's with your friends. Dreaming. Now, we all have dreams. Do dreams mean something? Well, sometimes yes, and maybe sometimes no. Perception, beliefs, motivation, all of these things will vary from person to person, and they're all things that we try to measure and we try to understand in psychology. Can psychology help you find your proverbial happy place? Everybody has a different happy place, if you will, and I know that term gets overused, and that's kind of why I used it, just to kind of be funny. But really, psychology we do try to help people find their spiritual, their mental, their physical happy spot, if you will. And it's different for everybody. And I always ask the question in class, where do you like to vacation? Where's your favorite place to go to unwind or to relax or to recharge? For some people, it's the beach. Some people hate the beach. Some people would rather go somewhere far away from the beach. Some people like roller coasters and amusement parks. Some people like to camp. That their idea of a happy place or an unwinding place would be to get out into the woods. Some people like cold weather. Some people like to ski or just enjoy cold weather completely. So it's going to vary from person to person. Some people like to shop. Other people hate to shop. Some people like to attend sporting events. Other people do not. Some people like to travel to big cities. And then some people would prefer to stay in the countryside or maybe never travel to a big city. So all this stuff's going to vary from person to person. And psychology is also about understanding individual differences. Now, can psychology explain or capture your soft and nurturing side? Why is it that we do nice things for people? Now, this is a very old picture of my daughter and her puppy. This dog is now very big. How many of you have ever done something for somebody, not because you really wanted to, but because you just wanted to be nice to this person? Maybe it's a significant other, it could be a parent, it could be a child, maybe even a stranger. And of course there's a picture of my dog all grown up. Back to this story just very briefly. At this time I didn't want a puppy, but obviously my daughter did, so long story short, she got the puppy. We do things for people that we love. And psychology attempts to understand this as well. Some people would argue that we don't ever do anything altruistically. In other words, we're always expecting something. Even if we hold the door for someone, we expect a thank you. If you let someone out in front of you in traffic, are you really doing it because you want to be nice to the person, or do you expect something? What if they don't wave? What if they don't give you the thank you courtesy wave? Do you get mad? Do you get upset? Maybe. Now, psychology spends a lot of time trying to explain and capture our not-so-nice sides. And this is where we talk about anger, we talk about some of the mental health disorders. We'll get into that a lot in this class during the semester. And yes, sometimes psychology can explain or attempt to capture our not-so-nice side. Why are people mean? Why do people say horrible things? Is it for attention? Is it because they want to be popular? Is it just because they're sociopathic and they enjoy hurting other people? Do they have depression? Is it anxiety? Is it intermittent explosive disorder? Is it substance abuse? Can mental health try to explain some of this stuff? Violent, aggressive, offensive behaviors? At times, yes. And this is all stuff we're going to talk about. We're laying groundwork for later discussion. Some years ago, Lady Gaga wore a raw meat dress to the Video Music Awards, and this is the image that I captured. So, can psychology explain why people do some of the weirdest crap you've ever seen in your life? Maybe. Is Lady Gaga mentally ill? Or is she maybe just doing this for attention, to get ratings, to get attention, and then to get money? Or is she disturbed? I mean, if you saw someone on the streets wearing an outfit made of raw meat and you didn't know who Lady Gaga was or never heard this story, would you think that person was mentally ill? Maybe. So maybe psychology can explain it. Just because someone looks strange or weird doesn't mean that they are intellectually deficient. This is an image of Marilyn Manson. Whether you like him or not, whether you've heard of him or not, he does look kind of scary and kind of creepy, but probably one of the most intelligent human beings that you would ever meet. I read somewhere at one time that he was tested as having a genius IQ. And you would look at this guy, if you saw him in a dark alley, you might run the other way and be really, be really afraid. But he's very, very intelligent. So why would he dress this way? Why would he choose to do some of the things that he has done? And there are a lot of urban myths about things that he has done in the past. We won't get into that here in this class. You could look it up online yourself. But can psychology explain why he might do some of these things? A lot of musicians, a lot of actors, the late great Robin Williams, for example, the great comedian, suffered from bipolar disorder. A lot of famous, successful people suffer from severe mental illnesses. People like Adam Ant, he was a musician from the 80s and the 90s, from my generation, talks a lot about his battle with mental illness, primarily bipolar disorder. He actually believes at times that he is from this era, from the 18th century. He actually sings a lot about, in his videos from the 80s, being in the 18th century, dresses that way. Now, you think that this might be all good and well, but he'd actually go out in public dressed like this as well. And there's a story about one time where he was in a manic phase of his disorder, where he actually picked up a carburetor because someone was making fun of his the way he was dressed. I know, go figure, right? And he actually went outside, found a carburetor, and who wouldn't throw a carburetor through a bar window when you're mad at someone? That's what he did. Not exactly normal behavior. So, can psychology try to explain some of this stuff? And my answer to that is yes, I think so. And that's what we will endeavor to do. And we're going to call that the end of this part. Thank you.